Today, we're visiting a truly bizarre university. Keep your eyes wide open and don't trust anyone.
Yeah.
Look at these people. One of them is not a student. Can you figure out who it is? This lady in black is a supernatural creature. Look at the mirror. Both she and her reflection are facing you. It's not possible in the real world. Students at this university aren't exactly known for their honesty. Look, it's midterms, and someone is cheating during an exam. Can you help the professor find this dishonest student? It's this guy. He has answers written on his arm. Thanks to your help, the professor has caught the cheating student, but she's a kind-hearted woman and gives the guy another chance. He needs to solve this riddle to pass the exam. Would you maybe like to help the poor student you've exposed? Keep in mind that this riddle has challenged many intelligent minds, and for good reason. The missing number in the third circle is 225. The numbers in these circles seem to be completely random at first glance. But let's perform some basic arithmetic operations, addition, subtraction, and multiplication, and try to figure out the pattern. We need to follow these steps. Look at the first circle and pair the opposites. The first pair gives us 11. As for the second pair, we need to calculate the difference between the numbers. It's 9. The next step should be finding the difference between the two results and squaring this number. We get 4. Let's do the same for the second circle to make sure that this is a working scheme. And now, let's find the missing number. So, 225 is the answer. The exams are over, and students are celebrating. But the party is kinda shady. Look around. Someone who doesn't belong to this college has sneaked inside. Can you spot the intruder? Look at this young lady. Her feet don't seem to be touching the ground. She must be a ghost. During the holidays, supernatural beings occupied the college, and now they're haunting the students. Even worse, someone has bitten your friend. Which of these people is a vampire? This young man has a t-shirt that looks as if it has some bloodstains on it. But that's just a print. This woman has a whole garlic knob hanging as a necklace on her chest, so she's not a vampire. But look at the man who's drinking some red liquid. I bet it's not fruit juice. He's actually the one we should be aware of. Imagine coming back to your dorm and finding out that your roommate is missing. Plus, everything around you looks kinda suspicious. Strange sounds, weird smells. Is your roommate hiding some terrible secret? Let's look at the sky. See that full moon? Now, pay attention to the walls and the floor of your room. You can notice scratch marks and chunks of fur here and there. That's the answer. Your roommate is a werewolf. After figuring out your roommate's secret, you realize you need to clear your head. You go to a morning pool party. People are swimming, playing around, and having fun. But one of the guests is a mermaid. Can you figure out who it is? This girl just pretends to be a mermaid. She even has matching makeup. This guy is wearing special gloves with membranes between the fingers. The mermaid is actually this girl who's staying as far away from the swimming pool as possible. She's even wearing a raincoat, all because if even a small water droplet touches her skin, she will get her tail. It's time to go back to school, only to find out that one of your professors is possessed. Who is that? This man has red eyes and messy hair, but that's most likely because he's sleep deprived. This woman is unnaturally pale, but she's suffering from food poisoning. Look at that piece of pizza next to her. It sure doesn't look fresh. At the same time, the guy on the right has two shadows instead of one. He's definitely possessed. Okay, now let's move on to something less supernatural, but no less tricky. Imagine having to empty a jar of milk and a jar of water into a bowl. But of course, there are several conditions. You must be able to see the border between the milk and the water. You must be able to separate the milk from the water. And finally, you aren't allowed to use any kinds of dividers to keep these two liquids apart. How can you do it? All you need to do is to pour the water into the bowl first and freeze it. Now all that's left to do is to add the milk. In the city where people are keen on brain teasers and riddles, 4% of people don't list their phone numbers. So if we select 40 random people from the phone directory, how many of them will have unlisted numbers? The answer is 0%. You see, if the numbers of these 40 people are in the phone directory, they're already listed by default. David invited 7 friends to his birthday party. They brought a beautiful big cake, but they couldn't eat it unless it was divided into 8 equal pieces with just 3 cuts. Luckily, they managed to do this and could enjoy the treat. Would you be able to do the same? To fulfill this task correctly, you need to follow the next steps. First of all, cut the cake across the diameter through the middle point. After that, cut the cake horizontally. Now you already have 4 equal pieces. And finally, cut the cake across the diameter, perpendicular to the first cut. There you go, 8 equal pieces and just 3 cuts. Now, look at the poor guy. One of his friends has pulled a paint bucket prank on him. Look at the rest of the people attentively and try to figure out who it was. It was definitely Luke. Look at his pants. There are paint stains there. Now, look at these girls. They're in a dark basement tied with ropes. Who is going to be the first to escape? Most likely, it'll be the first girl. She's got long, beautiful nails. She's bound to have a file to look after them. It can help her cut through the rope. There's been a robbery on the train, and one of these people is hiding the stolen goods. Who can it be? It's this woman. She only pretends to be pregnant. Her belly has a bizarre shape. It's suspiciously square. The police had been looking for Kyle for 2 days. The guy went hiking and never came back. Finally, he was found. Someone had hit him on the head and left him lying in the bushes. Kyle only managed to say, "friend," and lost consciousness. The police officers had 3 suspects, all of them Kyle's friends. Zachary said he spent these last days at work getting ready for a conference. Jeremy told the detectives he'd sprained his ankle and had been in bed for 4 days. And Billy explained that he'd been to New York. The man even showed the police officers his boarding pass. Who's responsible for the accident with Kyle? Billy showed the police just one boarding pass from Chicago to New York. Then how did he get back from New York? His story sounds fishy. Jordan was very late for a job interview, but when he drove up to the office building, he found out there were no free parking spaces. He decided to leave his car a bit farther from the entrance. But even though there were several other vehicles in that area, parking was prohibited there. Luckily, Jordan came up with an idea and didn't get fined. What did he do? He took a parking ticket from another car and put it on his windshield. It looked as if he had already been fined.
Now, Bella and Ella are preparing for an epic party. Can you figure out who's not very smart? Even though Bella looks as if she's about to touch a hot iron, the device is actually unplugged, so she probably won't burn herself. Meanwhile, Ella is about to touch a heated waffle. Bella and Ella text their friend named Mike, who never answers any questions directly. They invite him to go to a party together. Mike's answer is kinda weird. Sorry, no money, job and job. Now, can you help the ladies crack Mike's message? Mike said he had no money because he was in between jobs. Bella and Ella arrive at the nightclub and see a huge line at the entrance. The local guard, Greg, checks people's ID cards. His task is not to let in suspicious people and folks under 21 years old. Here's the first guest's ID card. What do you think? Can you help Greg decide if he can let this visitor in? She seems fine. Let her in.
Yes!
Here's the next guest. What do you say? June 31 doesn't exist. There are only 30 days in June, so no entry, buddy.
Oh no!
Now what about this guy? Something's wrong with his birth date as well. There was no February 29 in 1977. That wasn't a leap year. And what about this lady's ID? Yep, she's good to go.
Okay.
Here's another candidate. What do you say? Well, he's 22, so he seems fine. Finally, Bella and Ella enter the club building, but they take a wrong turn and get lost. Finally, they enter an old-fashioned two-story hallway with a beautiful fountain in the middle of the room. That's when Bella and Ella realize that they are not alone. There are many ghosts here. Can you figure out the exact number? There are 7 ghosts in this space. One of the ghosts is hiding inside the fountain. And the lady over there is not a ghost. She's standing on her feet and she's sweating. So she's very much alive. The lady is the owner of the property. She says, "To get out of this place, you have to crack the following puzzle. Can you help Bella and Ella figure out what number is hiding under the question mark? It's 1. 5 equals 1 because 1 equals 5. That was mentioned earlier in the equation. Bella and Ella are very hungry. Finally, they get to the party and see 2 tables with snacks. Although they look identical, there are 5 differences between them. Can you spot those details? Feel free to pause the video if you need more time. Here they are. Bella and Ella take a couple of selfies at the party. Can you spot 3 differences between these pictures? Ah, 1, 2, and 3. Bella goes to the dance floor, and Ella stays on the sofa. After a while, Bella returns and finds no Ella, only a creepy note on the sofa. We have imprisoned your friend in the middle of this labyrinth. Go save her before it's too late. Bella approaches the labyrinth entrance. She's worried that once she walks in, she won't be able to find her way out.
Oh my god.
How can she escape the labyrinth without getting lost and wasting too much time? She should put her right hand on the right wall and go forward, touching it at all times. She'll be walking into traps along the way. But if Bella follows the right wall, she'll get out of traps and will eventually find her way out of the labyrinth. Let's take a look at this labyrinth from above. Can you help Bella find the correct path? Here's the only route leading to the final destination. Bella manages to find Ella in the center of the maze. Suddenly, a secret door opens, and a creepy voice announces, "You can use this elevator to leave, but first, you have to enter a 4-number passcode to turn it on." Can you help the ladies crack the code? Take a look at the 4 symbols on the elevator. It's a hint. Each image implies a number. The word crown consists of 5 words, so it implies 5. Necklace implies 8, ring 4, and diamond 7. And the code is 5847.
Oh.
Bella and Ella want to return to the party, but they face a guard who says, "You'll have to crack my riddle if you want to come in." What is that thing that you have to break before you can use it? The ladies crack this mystery right away. What about you? The correct answer is an A.
Yes!
Bella and Ella are walking down the corridor. They face a locked door. There are 5 buttons on the door, but only one of them will let Bella and Ella pass. If they choose the wrong one, the door will get blocked forever. Can you help them choose the correct button? There's something special about almost all these buttons. The first one is unlike the others because it doesn't have an outline. The second one has a different shape. The third one has a different color. And the last one is smaller than all the others. The fourth button doesn't have any distinctions. That's what makes it so special. So Bella and Ella should press this one. Yay! The party goes on. 3 guys approach Ella and invite her to the dance floor. But only one of them is safe to dance with. Can you decide who? The first guy has too many spikes on his clothes. He might accidentally scratch Ella. And the second guy is a sorcerer. He has a love potion in his pocket. so he can't be trusted either. Therefore, Ella should pick the third guy. Bella takes a picture of Ella on the dance floor. She freaks out right away.
Oh my god.
Why? There's a skeleton among the dancing people. Ella gets very thirsty after dancing and approaches a waiter. He offers her an infinite supply of free drinks if she can crack his riddle. "I'll give you 1 glass of milk and 1 glass of water. You'll need to pour the 2 liquids into a bowl, but you should be able to separate the milk from the water later. You can't use any kind of dividers." It took Ella a while, but she cracked this riddle. What did she do? She poured all the water into a bowl and froze it. After that, she added the milk.
Oh.
Finally, Bella and Ella leave the party and enter a supermarket to grab some snacks. They see 2 ladies. One of them is married to their friend Mike. Can you guess who? It's the lady on the left. Her shopping cart contains shampoo for men's hair and beard. Bella, Ella, and their common friends, Nick, Nancy, and Adam, are hanging out at Mike's place. The next morning, they find Mike unconscious in the living room. None of the 5 friends know what happened to him. The police show up and they find a note next to Mike's calendar. It reads 4, 12, 8, and 3. The detective already knows who attacked Mike. What about you? It was Adam. The note was next to a calendar. 4 implies April, 12 implies December, 8 August, and 3 March. Take the first 3 letters of each month, and you get the name Adam. The next day, Bella and Ella go skydiving. Oh no, Bella's parachute hasn't opened, and she's now plunging toward the ground. There are 2 places where she can land. Bella can either fall into the lake or into this large haystack. Can you help her choose the best option? Bella should try to fall on the hay. Can you see those creepy crocodiles hiding near the lake? Bella manages to land safely. She meets Ella and they go camping. Unfortunately, Ella gets bitten by a snake, and Bella is trying to suck the venom out of her leg. Mike is also on the trip. Suddenly, he spots a black widow spider on his arm. Who's in a bigger danger, Bella or Mike? Bella. If she has any scratches in her mouth, the venom will get inside her bloodstream. As for Mike, black widows rarely bite people, and the bites are rarely fatal. So, a tired mom came home after work and found that one of her kids had made a sandwich but didn't clean up afterwards. She walked upstairs and found the 3 of them doing their homework. All of the children, Aaron, Chloe, and Tim, denied making a mess. Still, the mother could tell who was lying. Who do you think is guilty, and how did she understand it? Since there's butter on the right side of the knife, the person who made the sandwich is left-handed. She has only one left-handed kid, and that's Tim. It's a cold fall day. You're at home drinking hot chocolate and watching a movie. Outside, 4 neighboring kids are playing: Lily, Riley, Tom, and Mark. Suddenly, exactly when you turn around, a ball breaks your window and kids run away. You don't know who did it, and no one confessed. Later in the evening, though, you get a note from Lily. She didn't want to give away her friends, but being a very nice and honest girl, she also couldn't keep silent. So she gave you a note with a little hint. In the note, there was just a question mark. Take another look at the note. Can you guess who did it? The question mark is saying it all. Question mark. So Mark must be the one who threw the ball. A king couldn't decide which of his sons he should name his heir. He called his sons and proposed an unusual tournament. The horses would decide. There would be a horse race, and whose horse came last would be named king. When the race started, of course, no one moved. They were standing like this for 3 nights and 3 days, until the race was postponed. The sons were thinking a lot how to solve this problem. The next day, all 3 of them jumped on their horses' backs and raced as fast as they could. But the king never changed the rules. Why did they do that, and what was the solution? The sons decided to switch the horses. Now each was racing fast to make the horse of the brother come first. Right in broad daylight, you find yourself trapped in the dungeon of the world's most famous villains, and you should leave ASAP. Behind the first door, there's Joker waiting for you. The second door will take you straight to Freddy from Five Nights at Freddy's. Behind the third door, there's a Demogorgon from Stranger Things. The choice is yours. I definitely recommend using the second door. Freddy is not dangerous during the day because he only wakes up at night. All of the money from the city's bank was taken in the middle of the day without anybody noticing. The storage room was found completely empty, with only a note lying on the floor. There was a number written on it, 37738. The police arrested 3 of the most known criminals in the city, Belle, Jonas, and Steve, but they didn't know which one was guilty. They invited a detective to crack the hint, and he managed to do it immediately. Can you guess who? If you turn the paper around, the numbers will turn into a name, Belle. Hannah went on a business trip to a nearby city and stayed at a hotel. She was relaxing, reading a book after a long day, when she heard a knock on the door. She opened, asking what happened. The man outside got confused and said, "Oh, sorry for bothering you. I thought it was my room," and left. Hannah didn't believe it was just a mistake and called the security to apprehend the man. Why was she so suspicious? The problem was that the guy had knocked. If he really thought it was his room, he'd try to open it with his keys. A peasant boy was caught in the king's palace. The king was very mad and didn't want to let him go just like that. He loved all kinds of riddles, so he gave the boy a chance to escape. He said the boy could walk out of any of the 3 doors, and if he stayed safe, he was free. Behind the first door, there were lions that hadn't eaten in 3 years. Behind the second door, there were 3 trained assassins. Behind the third door, there was poisonous gas. The boy made his choice and managed to leave. Which door did he walk out of? He used the first door. If lions hadn't eaten in 3 years, they couldn't have survived. They were just skin and bones. A young woman, Julia, drank a spiked tea and left a note. The note was saying, "I just can't live like this anymore, and so I won't. Nobody's guilty." However, the officer didn't think she drank the tea willingly. He suggested that someone had staged everything and made her do it. After a careful analysis, it was confirmed that the note was really written by Julia. Still, the police officer arrested the one who was guilty. There were only 3 people in the house: Julia's boyfriend, Ian, her older sister, Kate, and her lab partner Mia. Can you guess who's guilty? The first letters of each sentence come together as Ian, her boyfriend's name. He must have made her write a note to make it look like it was her choice, but Julia left a hint for the police. A man fell off the third floor of the building. He was fine, but he lost his memory and couldn't tell what happened. Someone had seen him a while ago washing the windows, and everybody agreed it must have been an accident. However, a detective decided to check if it was true. He walked up to the third floor, opened the window, and threw down a coin. When he returned, he stated that the man didn't fall himself, but somebody pushed him out. How did the detective know? The detective opened the window. It means it had been closed before. If the man had fallen by accident, the window would have remained open. You're locked in a dungeon. There are 3 ways out, but none of them seem safe. Behind the first door, there's a huge and strong guard. Behind the second, there's 3 big and hungry dogs. Behind the third door, there's 2 sharp spinning cogwheels. Which way should you follow to get out and stay safe? The third one. The cogwheels are quite high above the ground, so you can crawl beneath them. You and your friend come back home very late, when everyone is already asleep. Nobody knew that you were outside, and nobody should. There's a code on the door that asks to type in the rest of it. Your friend completely forgot it, but if you don't type it in 10 seconds, it'll start the security alarm. Can you guess what the missing numbers are? The combination is just a set of 2-digit numbers: 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. So the other 6 digits are 1, 6, 1, 7, 1, 8 that make the remaining 16, 17, and 18. James is a single father of triplet daughters. He stayed late at work and got a call from a friend who just saw one of his daughters at a party in a different neighborhood. However, the friend couldn't tell which of the daughters it was. When James came home, he asked his daughters who had been at the party. Autumn said she had been doing her homework all evening. Serena said she spent the day outside reading. Emily said she'd been playing Uno. James could tell immediately who was lying. Can you? Emily. She couldn't play Uno alone. She would need a partner for that. You're lost in a deep forest. It's getting dark, and you have to get out immediately, unless you want to spend the night in the woods. Luckily, you come across a little shack where a witch lives. She promises to show you a way out if you solve her riddle. So, here it is. Ava's mom has 3 daughters. The oldest daughter's name is April. The second daughter's name is May. Can you guess what's the name of the youngest daughter? It's Ava's mom, so the last daughter's name is Ava. Stephanie came home after a tiring day at work. She was very excited to finally eat her favorite ice cream after a hot bath. But when she opened the freezer, the ice cream was gone. Stephanie guessed it must have been one of her kids who ate it. She called them and asked, "Who ate my treat?" Michael said, "I just got home and haven't eaten anything yet." Nicole said, "I didn't touch your ice cream." The youngest, Jenny, said, "It wasn't me." Stephanie immediately realized who was lying. Can you guess? It was Nicole. She knew that her mother talked about ice cream, even though Stephanie didn't specify what her treat was. Elsa was 17 years old the day before yesterday. Next year, she'll turn 20. How come? It's possible if the present day is January 1st, while Elsa's birthday is on the 31st of December. The day before yesterday, on December 30, she was still 17 years old. Yesterday, on the 31st of December, she turned 18. Thus, this year, Elsa turns 19 and next year 20. Elsa and her sister Helga explore an old attic in their parents' house. It's very dark and dirty. After that, they go downstairs to have some lunch. Helga's face is all covered with dust, while Elsa's face is super clean. But still, only Elsa goes to the bathroom to wash her face. Why? Elsa noticed that her sister's face was dirty, so she thought her face must be dirty too. As for Helga, she saw that Elsa's face was clean and assumed that her own face was clean too. After lunch, Elsa and Helga go for a walk across an enchanted forest. They reach the riverbank, but the bridge is closed for repairs. The sisters notice two dwarfs fishing in a boat near the bridge. They agree to help the sisters, but their boat is very tiny. It can fit either one sister or two dwarfs. Luckily, they manage to solve this issue. Elsa and Helga cross the river on the same boat. How? Well, first of all, one of the dwarfs brought his fellow on the opposite bank. Then he headed back for the sisters alone. Helga got into the boat and crossed the river. She gave the second dwarf the boat, and he returned to the opposite bank. He picked his fellow dwarf and brought him to Helga. Then one of the dwarfs swam to Elsa and passed the boat to her. She crossed the river and joined Helga, and finally, the second dwarf returned to his fellow. Helga and Elsa keep on walking and get lost in the forest. There are 3 roads to the nearest town. The first route is filled with mutant plants which feed on humans. The second path leads through an ice cave with a hungry dragon frozen inside a huge ice cube. The third route leads through a village of fairies. Their magic makes humans lose their minds. Which way is safe? Well, the dragon is trapped inside the ice cube, so it's not that dangerous. Finally, the sisters reach the town. They're walking down the main street. Suddenly, someone throws an orange right at Helga's head. Elsa identifies the apartment from which the fruit fell out and goes there to complain. She knocks, and a young man opens the door right away. Elsa explains that her sister was hit by an orange that fell from his window. But the guy says, "I was washing my dog when you knocked. Only me and my pet live here, so you confused the floors." But Elsa didn't believe him. Why? According to the man, he was bathing his only pet, but the dog's hair is dry. Therefore, his story is fake. Elsa and Helga enter the local home decor shop. Helga takes a picture of her sister standing in front of the mirror. Can you spot anything odd in this photo? Take a closer look at the mirror. Elsa's hands are reflected wrong, as well as the sale poster behind her. She must be a vampire. Just kidding. The sisters continue exploring the shop, but suddenly Elsa begins to scream and runs away. That's because one of these ladies is not alive. Can you guess who? The first woman is an ordinary human. There's a mirror behind her. The third lady has a painting of herself in the background. And the second lady, who's looking over her shoulder, is a phantom. Her reflection in the mirror doesn't match the reality. Elsa decides to hide in a building nearby. Surprise! It's a pet shop. Elsa wanders around it and spots one weird detail. Can you see it too? The turtle is wearing sunglasses. The locals tell Elsa and Helga about a creepy werewolf who has been scaring the citizens for several weeks. They only know that this werewolf is a lady and she has a husband. He's the only person who can calm her down. Elsa finds 3 suspects who might be the werewolf's husband, but none of them admits it. Can you find him? He's the second guy. There are suspicious brownish hairs on his clothes, although his own hair is blonde. The next day, Helga has a birthday party. Elsa goes to the bakery to purchase a cake for her. She's late, so she rushes over and bumps into a waiter. Elsa hits her head and forgets what cake Helga asked her to buy. She remembers just 3 things. It shouldn't have any green elements, the cake frosting shouldn't include more than one color, and it must have at least 1 berry. Can you help Elsa find the correct cake? Elsa should take the 4th cake. It's a chocolate cheesecake, so it doesn't have anything green. The glazing is brown and is decorated with cherries. A perfect match. Elsa buys the cake and leaves. The bakery is located inside the highest tower in town. Elsa enters the elevator to go down, but she hits the wrong button and finds herself on the roof. She decides to take some pictures with the iconic huge clock installed at the top of this tower. Oops! Elsa drops her phone from the roof. She decides to leave, but someone has already locked the door, and the elevator won't work, so she's trapped on the roof. Luckily, Elsa can still change the time of the clock. What time should Elsa set on the clock to make someone notice and rescue her? If she sets 5:05 on the clock, it'll look like an SOS signal. Finally, Elsa escapes from the tower and heads to the parking lot. Here's her car. Can you figure out the number of the place where it's parked? '87. Elsa arrives home. Helga shows her vacation photos sent by her new boyfriend, Kyle. In this case, you can see Kyle, his friend Bob, and a humanoid robot, Neo. Neo is standing next to Bob. A person wearing the yellow mask is not a man. What color is Kyle's mask? According to the terms, only the 3rd guy can be Kyle, so his mask is blue. The birthday party is going well. It's almost midnight, so Elsa goes to the kitchen and adds candles on the birthday cake. Suddenly, she remembers that the only lighter in the house is upstairs in her room. She leaves the cake at the table for a minute. Then Elsa returns and sees the cake smashed all over the floor.
Oh, no.
She questions 3 suspects. Lauren says, "I was in the living room all night. I don't know who did it." Wendy says, "I went outside to watch the full moon. It's so beautiful tonight." Kyle says, "I was shooting a TikTok dance with Helga." Who ruined the cake? Wendy. Take a look out the window. The moon is not full. Busted. The next morning, Helga wakes up earlier than Elsa and checks her feed. Breaking news: a legendary thief ran away from a nearby prison and now creeps around the town. He's a talented shapeshifter, so no one knows for sure what he might look like. Suddenly, Helga hears someone ringing on the door. She opens and faces 2 guys who introduce themselves. Bob is a gardener from a nearby park, and Peter is a garbage man. Both guys want to use a bathroom, so they ask Helga to let them in. But only one of them is safe to invite over. Can you guess who? Bob is wearing clothes with red stains. But he's also holding a brush, so he was probably just painting a fence. Let's take a closer look at Peter's facial hair. One mustache has come unglued. It's fake. So he must be the runaway criminal from the news.
Jules is participating in a space mission to Mars. The captain gives her a task to decorate the spaceship. Write something on a wall that makes a person sad when read in good times, and also makes one happy when read in sad times. It took a while, but Jules nailed it. What did she write? Nothing lasts forever. This is it. Jules and her fellow astronauts enter the spaceship and take their seats. Before the launch, Jules has to take care of one last thing. It's under you when it's whole. It shifts above you when you remove the first letter. It's all around you if you remove the second letter as well. What is it? A chair. It's time to start the mission. The captain needs to enter a secret 4-digit password to launch the spaceship. He wrote a little hint on his arm in a secret language. Can you crack the code? All we need to do is to count the number of intersections between the lines, and the code is 2, 5, 4, 8. Jules enters a room with 4 similar sleeping capsules. She needs to wake up her fellow astronaut, Josh, but she doesn't know where he is. There are 4 people sleeping in these capsules at the moment: Josh, Astrid, the physicist, Phil, the doctor, and Leo, the cook. Phil's capsule is next to Astrid. The person sleeping in the first capsule is a doctor. Also, Josh is not sleeping next to a physicist. Where's Josh? Easy peasy. Josh can only be sleeping in the 4th capsule. Jules and Josh enter the Starship Bridge. Can you find anything weird here? Look out the window. Birds don't fly in outer space. It's breakfast time. Jules goes to the dining room. Oh no! Someone finished the last tube with her favorite peanut butter.
Really?
Jules questions 3 suspects. Josh says, "I didn't do it. I'm allergic to all kinds of nuts." Astrid says, "I woke up, brushed my teeth, and came here. I don't know what's going on." Leo says, "I prepared food for everyone and left my post for 2 minutes to visit the restroom. Sorry, I didn't notice any signs of a break-in." Who's lying? It's unlikely that a person with allergies could be sent on a space mission. Therefore, Josh is lying. The spaceship has a garden and a special lab that stores samples of different plants from Earth. Tonight, someone broke into the system and destroyed a couple of very important plants. The lab is protected by a special passcode, so Jules suspects that it might be one of their robots. Cameras in the lab have been broken before the incident, so she can't see any visual evidence. Can you help Jules find the guilty one among these 6 robots? Take a closer look at this robot. His light bulb is broken and its fragments lie under the broken CCTV camera. So he's the one who sabotaged the lab work. Thankfully, Jules manages to restore the plants, and soon they receive a solid harvest. Can you spot anything odd in this picture? Money doesn't grow on trees. Jules picks a lot of apples in the lab garden. The crew cannot eat so much at once, so she decides to preserve them. On the eve of canning, Jules finds out that someone has stolen all the fruits.
Oh no.
She questions the crew members. Leo says,
Why would I sabotage the mission? I'm the cook, so it's my job to manage food supplies.
Josh says, I saw a couple of apples floating in outer space the other day. I took a picture, but I didn't do it. And Astrid says, I was sick yesterday, so I spent all day in bed. I didn't touch any food, including apples. Who's lying? Astrid. She said she didn't touch the apples, but there's an apple core in her pocket. Later that day, Jules receives an emergency message from Josh. Can you help her crack it? Mathematically, this riddle doesn't make any sense, but if we cut the upper half of the whole expression, we'll get the phrase, I love you. The next morning, Jules goes to check the garden. She spots a creepy monster and reports the emergency to the captain right away. Can you spot the monster too? Over here. Jules tries to catch the monster, but he manages to escape from her. This creature is a shapeshifter, so he turns into one of the crew members. Jules interrogates the suspects. The captain says, I was video chatting with my family in the cabin. I didn't see any monsters. Josh says, I heard loud noises from the corridor, but I couldn't leave my post. Dr. Phil says, I'm having back pain, so I was doing exercises in the gym. Who's the monster? Phil, take a look at his palms. Both of them are left. This monster seems to have a poor understanding of human anatomy. Jules puts the monster in a cage, and now her task is to find the real Phil. Crack this rebus to help her figure out his location. Toilet. Jules finds Phil, and thankfully, he's okay. But there's something wrong about this place anyway. Can you spot what exactly? There are too many hands on the clock. Finally, Jules and her team land on Mars. They're greeted by 5 local residents who don't seem to speak human languages. Can you figure out who's the boss here? All 5 guys are wearing some kind of crown, so it's hard to tell who's the king. But if we take a look at their shoes, we'll see that only the 4th guy is wearing shoes different from everyone else. He must be someone special. Jules jumps from a spaceship without any parachute and survives.
Oh my god.
How come? The spaceship wasn't flying, it was on the ground. Jules takes a tour of the local interplanetary space station. There, she sees a deaf Earthling who came over to pick up a pre-ordered part for his ship. How did he explain what he wanted to the delivery service? He just said it. He's deaf, but we didn't say that he was mute. Jules accidentally steps on a local resident's foot. On Mars, it's a serious crime, so they immediately arrest Jules and put her in a room with 3 doors. All the doors lead to freedom, but unfortunately, each way hides a dangerous surprise. The first door is guarded by angry dogs. Behind the second door, there's a huge lit firecracker that should burst in 5 minutes. A furious guard with a baton is waiting behind the third door. What would you rather choose? Jules can wait 5 minutes until the firecracker bursts and then walk through the second door. Jules returns to her spaceship and goes to the lounge area to get some rest. Can you see anything weird here? Take a look at the big screen. There's a video screensaver saying, "Welcome to Mars." The mirror should have reversed the letters, but it didn't. Suddenly, Jules hears loud noises from the lab and goes there to check. A glitch made all the robots stand up and walk in a chaotic manner. They can destroy the entire lab. Jules has only one option: turn the robots off. What button should she press to stop them? The inscription that says, "Shut down all robots," has a wire linked with the third button. Jules calls other crew members to help her fix the mess in the lab.
Oh, no.
There are 3 hidden emojis in this location. Can you spot them? This notebook over here is an emoji, just like this telescope and those scales. Jules goes to bed. The next morning, she wakes up in an abandoned space station. She explores the area and comes across 3 tunnels. There's a portal leading to Earth at the end of each tunnel. But there's a twist. Creepy space monsters are waiting in the first tunnel. Venomous scorpions are crawling all over the second tunnel. The third tunnel has motion detectors spraying strong acids that can dissolve any metal. Which way is more or less safe? Jules should choose the second tunnel. She's wearing a spacesuit. It'll protect her from scorpions.
Lola is a waitress on a giant cruise liner. One night, after the restaurant closed, she found an expensive watch on the floor. She announced it on the cruiser's radio, and 3 people showed up to claim it. Roger showed Lola the tan line on his wrist and asked her to give him the watch back. Mary said she remembered dropping the watch near the entrance of the restaurant and wants it back. Susie kept asking if the watch was okay and if it was working. Lola decided that the watch belonged to Susie. Why? You've got 10 seconds. Roger's tan line on his wrist is too small compared to the watch Lola found. And if Mary remembered where she dropped the watch, why didn't she pick it up? Susie knows how expensive her watch is, and she was worried it broke. Jenna and Michael were out partying on Halloween night. Michael told Jenna she wouldn't dare to go to a 120-year-old abandoned castle on the other side of town. Rumor had it that a mad scientist used to live there. Without a second thought, Jenna started walking. She reached the house at 3 a.m. and the door was open. When she walked in, the crazy scientist showed up and told her, "I've got a riddle for you. If you answer it correctly, you're free to go. If not, I get to do my scientific experiments on you. A sphere has 3, a circle has 2, and a point has 0. What is it?" You've got 9 seconds to find out. Dimensions. Michael left his work and walked into the dark parking lot in the basement to get his car. When he approached his vehicle, he saw a 4-pin lock on his door. He kept looking at it when his boss showed up. He told Michael, "I want to see if you're smart enough to get a promotion. You only get 1 try. If you figure the code, tomorrow you'll move to the executive's office." His boss gave Michael a piece of paper that read, "Which was the latest passing year that was the same upside down?" Michael started thinking of all the years that passed, and the next day he got the promotion. You have 8 seconds. Think fast. It's 1961. Susie arrived at the dance studio for her rehearsal when she found her instructor unconscious on the floor. Next to him there was a broken vase. Someone must have hit him on the head. Susie called Detective Allen at the scene, and he was suspecting 3 people who entered the studio that day. William, another instructor, said he had an emergency private class with a celebrity and left before anyone showed up at the studio. Mason, a professional dancer, said he took the week off and dropped by today to give the keys back to the dance instructor because he forgot them in his bag when he left the day before. Sally, a dancer, said she had class today, but when she showed up, she didn't see anyone through the window and assumed the studio was closed. Detective Allen knew exactly who was lying. You've got 7 seconds. It was Sally. Her fingers are covered in bandages and cuts. They must have happened when she broke the vase. Lucy was walking back home from the restaurant. She was talking on the phone to her sister and took a shortcut through a creepy park. Suddenly, someone came behind her and snatched her handbag from her shoulder. She tried to chase them, but it was too dark. She only saw a figure going into the cinema. Lucy followed them there, and when she went in, she only saw 3 girls standing there and questioned them. The first girl said she just got there, and she's waiting for her friend to arrive. She said she's holding a big bag to sneak some food into the theater. The second girl said she missed the movie because she has a broken leg and it took her a while to get all the way to the cinema, so she's waiting for the next viewing. The third girl said she came back from her friend's house and wanted to see what movies are playing. Lucy took a good look at them and knew exactly who was lying. You've got 6 seconds. It was the girl with the broken leg. Her left leg is broken, and instead of holding the crutch on the left to support her weight, she has it on the right side. Alex was at the park, snapping photos of trees and flowers for a photography competition. When he finished, he placed his camera on the bench and tried to disassemble his equipment to head back to his car. Suddenly, he heard someone running, and his camera was gone. He saw the person going inside a blue car. Alex got the rest of his stuff and followed the robber. He then saw the car parked outside a restaurant. He walked in and saw 3 people sitting down. Can you guess which of them is the robber? You have 5 seconds. It's the one on the right looking at the menu. The others are eating. They've been there for a while. Sarah and Michelle went to explore an abandoned castle. When they walked in, the door shut behind them and the lights went on. In front of them, 3 doors appeared. They must pick the right one to make it out alive. Behind the first door, there's a hungry crocodile that hasn't eaten in 2.5 years. Behind the second door, there's lava from a volcano that erupted 2 weeks ago. And behind the third door, there's a massive seawater pool with a whale shark you must swim through. You have 4 seconds to decide. Crocodiles can go without food for 3 years, and lava can remain hot when it's well insulated for months. The best option is the whale shark. Even though it's a shark, we humans are indifferent to them. Tori was the lead actress in a movie. They were filming on a deserted island to make sure nobody was around to interrupt the scenes. The day before the shooting, Tori was found unconscious in her room, and the crew member called Detective Martin on the case. He interviewed 4 suspects. The producer said he'd be scouting the island to find a new location with a lake, and he didn't talk to anyone all day. The writer said he'd been making some adjustments to the scripts in his trailer. The camera operator said he was testing his filming equipment when a stranger approached him for directions. He ran off to help them. The director was sitting on the beach, writing down notes about small details he wanted to add to the movie. Detective Martin figured it out in 3 seconds. Can you? It was the camera operator. Hey, this was a deserted island. Nobody was there needing help. Anna is a vegetarian restaurant owner. The day she opened the new restaurant, she invited her family to celebrate. Her sister came first, but found Anna unconscious on her office floor. She immediately called the police, and they questioned everyone that entered Anna's restaurant that day. The electrician said he came in for some final checks to make sure everything works. The cleaner said he came in for his shift, but Anna was okay before he left. The chef said he had been sharpening his knives for the meat carvery station. The police arrested the chef. Why? Here are your 3 seconds. This was a vegetarian restaurant. There's no meat carvery station. Jenny, a famous singer, went abroad for her first concert. She checked into a hotel and went to perform for her next show. When she returned to her room, she realized all her jewelry was gone, and she called the police. Detectives checked the cameras and saw that nobody left the hotel that night. The person who took them was still inside. There were only 3 people at the hotel. Michael said he couldn't sleep and spent the entire night in the lounge reading. Jason, the manager, said he spent the night in the back office watching TV because it was quiet. Margaret said she went to the hotel's pool to swim alone. The police knew who was lying. You've got 2 seconds. It's Margaret. Hotel pools are closed tonight for maintenance. Jason and his wife are millionaires. They have 3 sons and 2 daughters. All kids were going on a camping trip together, and the couple will have the weekend for themselves to relax. When they woke up the next day, all their money was taken from their safe, and they called the police. When the officers showed up, they interviewed the 3 people who were in the house that morning. The butler said he was cleaning the car after driving the kids to the camping site. The chef said he was busy preparing a huge breakfast for the family. The cleaner said he finished cleaning quickly that day and left early. The police figured out who was lying in 1 second. Can you? It was the chef. Since the kids were gone, he couldn't have been cooking breakfast for the family. The strict professor. A student put his final exam paper into the pile of the other students' papers. The professor told him, "I saw you were cheating at the exam. You'll get an automatic fail." Then the student asked him, "Do you know who I am?" The professor answered, "I neither know nor care who you are. You have to be punished for your dishonesty." The student walked away. When the exam scores were announced, he discovered he'd gotten an A. How come? The professor indeed didn't know who the student was. That's why he graded his paper just like anyone else's. The chef's out. The owner of the restaurant, Vegan Paradise, called the police. He was in a panic. "Someone has attacked our chef. He was taken to a hospital several minutes ago. Our rivals must have sent someone to ruin my business." When the police officers came to the restaurant, they learned that 3 people had been in the staff area during the accident. The first cook was cutting onions when the chef was hurt. He told the police his vision had been blurred because of the tears, and he hadn't seen anything. The second cook was peeling shrimps when the accident happened. He said he had been listening to music through his earphones, and he hadn't heard anything. The third person, a waitress, claimed she had been serving lemonade outside. Who's lying? The second cook attacked the chef. Come on, shrimps in a vegan restaurant? Really? Wolf paradox. 3 wolves were walking in the snow in a line. One of them says, "There are no wolves in front of me." Another says, "There's 1 wolf in front of me and 1 behind." The third wolf says, "There are 2 wolves in front of me and 1 behind." In which case is it possible? It's possible only if the third wolf's lying. Puppy mystery. Emily had a puppy she loved to the moon and back, but those around her couldn't stand the adorable pooch. Emily's husband hated how much time his wife spent with the dog. Her friend Deborah didn't like that every time she visited Emily, she had fur on her clothes. And the family maid just wasn't a fan of animals. One day, Emily came home and didn't find her puppy. The woman was furious. Her husband told her he had just come back from work and knew nothing about the dog. Her friend got offended. "I left my scarf here last evening. I've come to pick it up." The maid claimed she hadn't even come close to the pup because of her allergy. Who knows where the pooch is? There's pet hair all over the floor. Why doesn't the maid have an allergy to it? She's lying. Truth or not? Eric, a police detective, was having lunch in a cafe. At some moment, he went to the bathroom and left his smartphone on the table. When he came back, the phone was gone. The detective saw a man leaving the place and ran after him. Eric stopped him when the man was about to sit in a car. The detective told the man to give him his gadget back, but the man seemed confused. "I know nothing about your phone. I just gave my friends a lift to work." And he pointed at two men entering an office building. After hearing this, Eric immediately called the police. Why? The man lied. His car was a sports convertible with just 2 seats. The car wouldn't have fit 3 men. Who went out? In the middle of the night, Dennis was woken up by a loud crash. One of the kids must have been out. But they know they aren't allowed to leave after curfew. The man went to check on the children. All 3 of them, Catherine, Ruth, and Larry, seemed to be sleeping peacefully. Look at the kids and try to figure out who sneaked out of the house. It was Ruth. There's a dirty sneaker hidden behind the curtain and several pieces of French fries under her bed. Theft on a train. Brenda was traveling by train. It was scorching hot in the carriage. The girl took off her gold bracelet decorated with diamonds and put it on the table in front of her. Several minutes later, the train entered a tunnel and it got pitch dark. When the tunnel was left behind, there was no bracelet on the table. Boy, I'm surprised. Brenda was shocked. Someone's taken my bracelet. There were just 3 other people in the compartment. Helen said she'd been sleeping. Rachel was reading a book on her phone. And Gregory had gone to the bathroom even before the train entered the tunnel. Who took the bracelet? It was Helen. At first, she had her sleeves rolled up, but now they covered her arms down to the wrists, hiding the bracelet. Underwater fire. A sailor got a letter from his girlfriend. In this message, she told him she'd cheated on him. The man was so furious he managed to burn the letter under the water. After doing it, he got arrested. How was it all possible? The man was a sailor on a submarine. A New Year party. Emma was giving a New Year party. Everyone was having the time of their lives. But then, someone snuck into the kitchen and added something to all the drinks. Emma and all her guests got food poisoning. Only 3 guys were okay. They hadn't been drinking anything, and it looked suspicious. The first said he was into sports and had to stay fresh for his morning run. The second guy blushed but admitted that he liked Emma. He had been waiting for an opportunity to talk to her for the entire evening. And the third guy complained he had been having a stomachache since the beginning of the party. He didn't want to make it worse by drinking anything. Who poisoned the drinks? It was the second guy. He has shoe covers on. He was wearing them not to leave footprints on the kitchen floor. King's Heir. An old king has passed away. Two men, the true heir and an impostor, claim to be his long-lost son. Both fit the description. In their 30s, tall, blonde, and with facial features similar to those of the late king. One of the ministers suggests a blood test to identify the true heir. One man immediately agrees, while the other flatly refuses. Surprisingly, the one who has agreed is arrested, while the other man is correctly accepted as the rightful heir. Why? The minister knew the true prince was a hemophiliac. It means his blood doesn't clot properly. That's why a blood test would be fatal for him. Impossible. You are alone in a room, but there's also a thief in the same room. How is it possible? Sorry to break it to you, but you're the thief. Which mom's rich? Look at these beautiful young moms. They both look stylish, but only one of them is loaded. Which one? The second mom's rich. Look attentively at the first woman's baby carriage. There's a sale tag on it. A mysterious door. A man walked into a room and saw 3 doors. The first one had a sign which read, "To the Swamps." On the second door, there was a note, "Lion's Den." The third door didn't have any sign, but the man knew for sure where it led. How? It was the door he had entered through. A missing millionaire. Police got a call from the house of a wealthy man who hadn't come back after going for a jog. When several officers arrived, they questioned the maid, the millionaire's wife, and his driver. The maid said, "When Mr. Jones went for a jog, he asked me to prepare his breakfast. I immediately got down to work, but it's been 3 hours, and he hasn't returned yet." The wife was worried too. "I saw him in the morning, but he was in a hurry. We just greeted each other, and I went to work." The driver told the police he had been waiting for his boss in the car, smoking and checking his social media. Who knows something about the millionaire's disappearance? The maid's lying. If she had cut the apples for breakfast 3 hours ago, they would have turned brown by now. King's decision. Once, a king asked his advisors, "What should I do to a person who will dare to touch my beard? I need to punish this crime somehow." The first advisor said, "Put them in prison for 3 years." The second advisor answered, "Oh, make them leave the country and tell them to never come back." The third advisor provided an unexpected reply. They should be given sweets. The king thought for a while and agreed with the third advisor. Why? The only one daring enough to touch someone's beard, especially if it belongs to a king, will be a child.
Carl and his wife Olivia had dinner. They ate the same dishes: French fries, some fish, and vegetable salad. Half an hour later, Carl felt unwell and called the ambulance. But when specialists arrived, he was already unconscious. The man was immediately taken to a hospital. Luckily, doctors had enough time to save him. When they figured out what was wrong with Carl, everyone was shocked. The man had been poisoned. But how could it happen? He and his wife ate the same dishes, but Olivia was perfectly fine. Even more surprising, the next day, the police arrested the woman for trying to poison her husband. How come? Olivia made all the dishes not salty enough and put poison in the salt shaker. Peter graduated from the police academy and began to work as a trainee detective. 1 week after the guy started his new job, he already had the first tricky case on his hands. One of his colleagues was investigating a series of crimes connected with smuggling. She was close to solving the case, but several days ago, the woman disappeared. Peter visited the last location where his colleague was spotted and found a note. 710-57735-34-5508-517718. Peter has 3 suspects: Bill, a manager in an oil company; Todd, a jeweler; and John, a car dealer. Who's the criminal? Peter has managed to prove he deserves his detective badge. The guy turned the message upside down and tried to read it that way. Surprisingly, the letters made rather legible words. Bill is boss. He sells oil. Something went wrong in a super-secret laboratory. There was a leak of a newly developed experimental chemical, and it made several plants and animals mutate in the blink of an eye. Scientists ended up locked in one room with the vicious monsters. One of the researchers managed to figure out how they could get out of this dire situation, but the substance they needed was in another part of the laboratory. The scientists could get there through one of 3 corridors. The first was guarded by fire-breathing crocodiles. Hey, it was an experimental laboratory after all. The second corridor was filled with meat-eating sunflowers with extra sharp teeth. And the third passage was swarming with venomous bees. Which one should the scientists choose? They should opt for the corridor with the sunflowers. Those are plants, and however scary they are, they can't move. Terry and Alice fell in love and started going out, but the woman's best friend Sarah was jealous of their relationship. Alice didn't want to lose her friendship and tried to keep the dates with her boyfriend in secret. That's why she left him coded messages with the places where they were going to meet. That day, Terry found a new note. It looked like this. At first, he was puzzled, but soon enough, he realized where he was going to see Alice. Can you figure it out? Alice told Terry to meet her at the street corner. Patrick called the police. The man seemed to be worried sick. "My wife Victoria took our dog for a walk in the afternoon. Several hours ago, our pooch returned. Alone. I don't know where Vicky is." The police questioned the suspects. Mrs. Summers said she'd been watching TV all day long. "I was busy delivering the mail," said the postman. "I didn't have time to linger in this area, and I didn't see anything." And Mr. Thomas told the police he'd been working in his home office. The detective knew at once one of these people was lying. Who was it? It was the postman. His sleeve is a bit torn, and there's a dog bite on his arm. Plus, some black fur is stuck to his pants. Victoria's dog probably tried to protect the woman. 3 expensive watches have been stolen from Mr. Brown's store this year. The police can't help the poor man. He decides to hire a private detective. When Laura arrives, she immediately asks for the CCTV footage from January to December. After watching it, she tells the store owner who the thief is. What has she noticed in the video? The same guy came to the store several times, in April, August, and November. And every time, he has a cast on his arm. But no broken bone would need 8 months to heal. Joe had a friend, Randy, who never answered questions directly. Once, Joe sent Randy a message, inviting him to join their common friends in a cafe. Randy's answer was kinda weird. "Sorry, no money. Job in job." Luckily, Joe knew his friend well enough to understand what he meant. But can you figure it out? Randy meant he had no money because he was in between jobs. The next time Joe texted Randy was when he needed some advice. Despite all his quirks, his friend was very good at finding solutions to difficult situations. So Joe wrote, "My girlfriend took my professional camera without asking permission, and then she accidentally smashed it. What should I do?" The answer was bizarre, not that it was unexpected. Give, get, give, get, give, get, give, get. At first, Joe didn't think he wanted to follow this advice, but a bit later, he decided it was the best course of action. What was the advice? Forgive and forget. Dylan was an extremely popular guy in his office. Tall, handsome, funny, and friendly. But there was one thing that made certain people dislike him. The man had a new girlfriend every month. That Friday, Dylan came to work happier than he'd ever felt. He finally bought the car of his dreams. At lunchtime, he went to the parking lot to check in on his new toy. Oh no! His car was a mess, scratched and covered in paint. Dylan went pale and called security. He had 3 suspects, all of them his exes. Andrea said she didn't even know Dylan had got a new car. Catherine answered she'd been preparing a report for their boss and hadn't left her desk. And Mila told the guy she'd forgiven him long ago. Who ruined Dylan's car? It was Catherine. She had some smeared paint on her skirt, and the color is the same as the paint on the man's car. 2 maids work in a small hotel in the mountains. One day, the hotel owner finds out one of them regularly steals stuff from guests, but he doesn't know which one it is. Look at these maids cleaning the rooms. Can you help the owner understand who's guilty? The maid on the right hasn't noticed the ring under the sofa. She might not be a great cleaner, but also not a thief. As for the maid on the left, she's spotted the ring and put it in her bucket. It means she's going to take it for herself after she finishes cleaning. She's the one who steals things. One afternoon, all the money was stolen from the register of a small cafe on the beach. The police have 5 suspects. All of them claim they haven't been to the cafe in the past hour. Look at them closely and try to figure out who's the thief. It's the guy with the cocktail in his hand. He definitely bought it in the cafe. But then, why did he lie about not visiting the place? Police officer Cheryl Adams was visiting her colleagues in another town. She was walking along the river, taking pictures to send to her husband, when a man crashed into her. They both fell to the ground. After helping Cheryl to her feet, the man started to apologize. It turned out someone had stolen his wallet, and he was trying to catch the thief. "I was painting my boat, and my wallet was lying next to me. But then I got distracted, just for a moment. But when I turned back, the wallet wasn't there anymore." Cheryl understood the thief couldn't have gone far. She pulled the man to the nearby pier. There were 4 people there. After looking at them closely, the police officer knew who the thief was. Now it's your turn to figure it out. It's the man who's talking on the phone. There's some green paint on his feet. Julia came to have lunch in her favorite restaurant. She occupied a table near the window and put her bag in the seat next to her. Once the woman gave her order to the waiter, she went to the bathroom to wash her hands. But when she returned to the table, her bag was open and her wallet was missing. The waiter told her he had noticed only one man passing by her table. He was short, with a tattoo on his neck. He seemed to go out to the terrace. Julia rushed there and saw 3 people sitting at their tables. She looked at them closely and soon understood who'd taken her wallet. Who was the thief? It's the young woman on the right. You can see a wig and some men's clothing in her bag. Plus, she's wearing a turtleneck to cover her tattoo.
Andrew and Emma agreed to meet for a date at the park entrance at 9 p.m. But there was a slight problem. Both Andrew's and Emma's watches were showing the wrong time. Andrew's watch was 3 minutes behind, but he thought it was 2 minutes ahead. Emma's watch, on the other hand, was 2 minutes ahead, but she thought it was 3 minutes behind. Which of them do you think will be late for the date? Andrew will be 5 minutes late and Emma will be 5 minutes early. Gemma was attending a technology-themed costume party. When she arrived at the venue, she saw 3 people chatting by the drinks buffet who were all dressed in robot costumes. However, she noticed that one of them was a real robot. Can you tell who? Everyone is holding drinks in their hands, but take a look at the second guy. His glass is empty, but he's still pretending to drink something from it. Robots and liquids don't go well together, so he must be an actual robot. Realizing that Gemma noticed him, the robot immediately pulled her to the corner of the room and said, "Now that you know my real identity, I need to wipe your memory. But if you can answer my riddle correctly, I'll let you go. I have keys, but open no locks. I have space, but no room. You can enter, but you can't go inside. What am I?" The answer is a computer. Janice, Candace, and Demeter were 3 witches who cared a lot about looking young and beautiful, but one of them was actually 100 years old. Can you tell me who? The first witch, Candace, who is taking a selfie, looks like an old woman on her phone screen, but that's just a social media filter. As for the second witch, Janice, the creepy old lady-looking shadow at the back is not her shadow. It's an evil spirit that's haunting her. But look at the mirror the third witch, Demeter, is holding. It's reflecting what she doesn't want others to see, aka her true face. So she's the old lady here. Lloyd went to the costume store to buy something to wear for Halloween. Once he selected a costume for himself, he headed to the fitting rooms to try it, but all 3 of them were occupied. A few minutes later, 3 different customers in costumes came out of them. The first one was wearing a vampire costume, the second was wearing a werewolf costume, and the third one was wearing a zombie costume. But Lloyd immediately realized that one of them was actually a real monster. Can you tell who? Take a look at the mirrors in front of the fitting rooms. The customer in the vampire's costume doesn't have a reflection. That can only mean he is a real vampire. Sir Ridley Stormrider was a knight searching for his one true love. He traveled to the kingdom of Eridonia after hearing rumors that there was a magical mirror there, which revealed the location of the heart's desire to those who looked into it. But there was a catch. It would only reveal it to you if you knew the answer to the riddle that was engraved on it. I'm often running, but I never get tired. What am I? Can you help Sir Ridley Stormrider find love? The correct answer is water. Inspector Banner was inspecting the Academy of History and Science. During his inspection, he noticed that whenever he asked the class a question, all the students raised their hands in response. Moreover, even though the school teacher chose a different student each time, the answer was always correct. How did this work? The teacher had prearranged with the students that they would be called upon to answer regardless of whether they knew the answer or not. But those who knew the answer should raise their right hand, and those who did not know should raise their left hand. The teacher chose a different student each time, but always the one who raised his right hand. Amy had one last test to pass before she graduated. Her professor asked her only one question during the exam, which was this: you have 2 candle wicks. Each wick, lit from the end, burns completely to the ground in exactly 1 hour, but it burns at an uneven rate. How can you use these wicks and a lighter to measure 45 minutes? Can you help Amy graduate? It's necessary to light the first wick simultaneously from both ends, which will give you 30 minutes. Simultaneously with the first wick, you light the second wick from the end, and when the first wick burns out after 30 minutes, you light the second wick from the other end, which will give you the remaining 15 minutes. Layla's best friend was her dog named Gamgee. One night after spotting a falling star in the sky, she wished that Gamgee could talk to her. Then, suddenly, the star came to life in front of her and said, "I will grant you your wish if you can answer this riddle of mine. Always old, sometimes new, never sad, sometimes blue, never empty, sometimes full, never pushes, always pulls. What am I?" The answer is the moon. To Layla's surprise, her dog really started talking. The first thing it said was, "Oh, this riddle game is so fun! I want to play it too! Here's my riddle to you. What's always found on the ground but never gets dirty?" It's a shadow. Jamie was standing at the edge of a circular lake. The lake was 200 feet in diameter, and there was a small island directly in the middle. There was a large tree next to him and a large tree in the middle of the island. Jamie needed to get to the island in the middle of the lake, but he didn't know how to swim. He only had a little over 200 feet of rope. How can he use that to get there? First, Jamie needs to tie one end of the rope to the tree next to him. Then, while he's holding the other end of the rope, he should walk all the way around the lake. This will wrap the rope around the tree in the center. When he returns to his starting point, he needs to tie the end of the rope he's holding to the large tree again. He can now use this rope bridge to hold on to and cross the lake to the island. Cedric was a brilliant scientist. One day, suddenly a small portal appeared in his lap, and a little device with a letter attached to it fell on his head right before the portal closed. The letter said, "From future Cedric to past Cedric, one of my experiments accidentally caused chaos to be unleashed on Earth. That is why I have to prevent you from conducting this experiment in the first place. You will find the details inside the box, but you can only open it if you know the answer to this riddle. What occurs once in a minute, twice in a moment, and never in 1,000 years? Can you help Cedric save the future world?" The answer is the letter M. People who visited the town of Maplebrook often found themselves intrigued by Mr. Perry. He had a reputation of a not quite intelligent person. That was because when offered a choice between a 50-cent coin and a $5 bill, he always chose the coin, even though it was worth 10 times less than the banknote. Can you tell why he never chose the banknote? Well, he was not so foolish after all. You see, he realized that as long as he chose the 50-cent coin, people would offer him money to choose from, and if he chose the $5 bill, the offers of money would stop, and he would get nothing. On a winter day, a man was standing in the middle of someone's front yard. The person stayed there for several weeks without moving, and the owner of the yard didn't mind. Eventually, the man left. Who was the man? It was a snowman, of course. He left a couple of weeks later when the temperature went up. Over winter break, 5 best friends each did different activities in different cities. Can you find out each friend's full name, what they did, and where they went? Their first names are Julie, Megan, David, Fred, and Sam. Their last names are Wallace, Thompson, Mallard, Shields, and Drake. Their preferred activities are a ski trip, moving to another place, a cruise, cooking classes, and visiting relatives. The places where they went are Houston, Paris, Cleveland, Vancouver, and Miami. And now, there's a bit more info you might need. 1. Julie and Miss Wallace were sad that David wasn't coming back. 2. Neither Sam nor Julie had ever left the US before this winter break. 3. All the first names that have 2 syllables belong with the last names that have 2 syllables. Nobody's last name starts with the same letter as their first name. 4. Miss Mallard is excited to learn about French cuisine. 5. Mr. Thompson doesn't want to move. 6. The friends, in no particular order, are as follows. The girl who is going on a ski trip, Mr. Shields, Megan, the boy headed to Houston, and Julie. 7. Cruises can only be taken in warm coastal cities. Ski trips can only be taken in cold, mountainous places. Remember that this winter. 8. The cruise ship Fred is traveling on does not dock in Houston. Also keep in mind that Sam can be a boy's or girl's name. In this case, it's short for Samantha. Julie Mallard takes cooking classes and she went to Paris. Megan Wallace moved to Cleveland. David Thompson visited his relatives in Houston. Fred Shields went on a cruise in Miami. Sam Drake took a ski trip in Vancouver. It's 1962, and you're traveling to Innsbruck, Austria, to see the Winter Olympics. When you arrive at the stadium, nobody is there. You ask a passerby, "Why isn't anyone here for the Winter Olympics?" The man answers your question. You both laugh at your silly mistake, and you go back home. What did the passerby tell you? He told you that the Winter Olympics wouldn't start until 1964. There are a few airplanes on the island. The tank of each airplane contains just enough fuel to fly halfway around the world. Any amount of fuel can be transferred from one plane to another while in the air. The only source of fuel is on the island. It's assumed that all the planes burn fuel at the same rate and fly at the same speed. What is the smallest number of airplanes needed to ensure that one plane flies all the way around the world? All the planes should return safely to the island. Only 3 planes are needed. Planes A, B, and C leave the island together. After flying 1/8 of the distance, Plane C transfers 1/4 of the contents of its tank to Plane A and 1/4 to Plane B. This leaves C with 1/4 of its fuel, which is just enough to get back to the island. Planes A and B continue for another 1/8 of the way. Plane B then transfers 1/4 of the contents of its tank to Plane A. Plane B now has half a tank of fuel left, which is enough to go back to the island. Plane A now has a full tank and continues to fly until it runs out of fuel, which occurs when it's 1/4 of the way to the island. It is met by Plane C, which has already been refueled. Plane C transfers 1/4 of its tank to Plane A, and they both head home. Planes A and C run out of fuel when 1/8 of the way to the island is left. Luckily, they're met by Plane B, which has been refueled too. Plane B transfers 1/4 of its tank to each of the 2 planes, and the 3 aircraft now have enough fuel to get home. 2 50-foot ropes are suspended from a 40-foot ceiling 20 feet apart. You have only a knife. How much of the rope can you steal? Almost all of it. First, tie the ropes together at the ends. Then, climb one of the ropes. Make a loop as close to the ceiling as possible. While hanging from the loop, cut the rope just below it. But don't drop it, otherwise you'll be stuck up there. Run the rope through the loop and tie it to your waist. Swing over to the other rope and pull the rope that's going through the loop tight. Cut the other rope as close to the ceiling as possible, holding tight to the end of it. Once the rope is loose, you will swing down below the loop. Let yourself down to the ground by letting the rope out. At the bottom, untie yourself and pull the rope completely through the loop. At this point, you'll have all the rope except what was used to tie the loop. You find yourself trapped in a medieval castle far away from civilization. It's freezing outside. You can't jump out the window because it's too high above the ground, and even snowdrifts won't make the jump softer. The only tree growing near the window doesn't look sturdy enough for you to climb down. However, there are 3 doors, one of which can lead you to freedom. But behind the first door, there's a fierce fire. The second door holds back hundreds of venomous snakes. And behind the third door, there's a pitch-dark maze, and you can only imagine what surprises are waiting for you there. Which door should you choose? The third one. You'll just need to break off a tree branch, turn it into a torch by lighting it in the first room, and go through the maze, which wouldn't be dark anymore. When Mary came to work after a winter break, she realized that the office had been robbed.
Oh, no.
The night guard said he had been patrolling the building when he'd heard suspicious noises. When he got there, he saw that the office door was wide open, and so was the safe. The man also added that he had looked out of the window and noticed someone get in a car. But the sun blinded him, and he didn't manage to see who it was. Mary instantly called the police. Why? There's no sun at night, so it couldn't have blinded the night guard. He must have invented the whole story to help the criminals. Or is he the thief himself? Tina and Timothy loved adventures. Once, they decided to check out an ancient castle in Greenland that was said to belong to a witch. That witch used snow to perform her magic and could turn into any object and copy anyone's appearance. In the castle, they used torches to light their way.
Oh, no.
All of a sudden, their torches went out. Tina got terribly scared. But then, the torches lit again, and she saw 2 husbands of hers in front of her. Can you tell who is her real husband? It's the man on the right. He has 5 fingers, like a regular human. The man on the left has 4 fingers, so it must be the witch. An anonymous person called the police and told them that a notorious criminal had come back to the town. The next day, they called the police once again to report the screams they had heard. They had been coming from an abandoned house. The police rushed there. They broke in and saw 3 tied-up men. They figured out that one of them must have been the criminal. One of the officers said that he knew exactly who the criminal was. Can you spot them? Look at the man on the left. Can you see a phone in his pocket? A true criminal would never let their victim use a phone. Take him, officer!
Get ready! These riddles will show you how attentive you are and how sharp your eyesight is. Let's rock it!
Yeah.
Esme, Evelyn, and Elise are drinking coffee. Ava, Ella, and Emma are drinking soda. Is Esther going to drink coffee or soda? Esther is going to drink coffee. The letter E in her name is used twice, just like in the names of the other coffee drinkers. Here's a tough question. Look at the picture and choose what or who you'll say first. You should save your family first. In any family, there are several people. They can help you save the rest of the people and the money. Look at these pictures. There's something wrong in one of them. Can you figure out what it is? This woman is eating the soup with a fork. Well, that's not a very successful strategy. Let's look at this picture. At first, there may seem like there's nothing in it but 3 bright stripes of different colors. But if you squint, you might find something else there. Have you spotted several faint numbers in the image? They are 55, 37, and 22. What do you think? Who's in greater danger here? It's the woman. If the man doesn't provoke the sharks, they might just circle him a few times and swim away. Or they might not be interested in humans altogether. But the flames won't be so hesitant. Stephen's family was away for the weekend. When they came back, they found Stephen injured and unconscious in the living room. The maid said she had been cleaning the house all morning and then had taken a nap in the afternoon. The cook told the police he had been making a food inventory in the afternoon. And the driver said he had been away, driving the kids to a museum. Who has something to do with the accident? It's the driver. The whole family, including the kids, were away on the weekend. He couldn't have driven them anywhere. Now, are you witty enough to crack the following riddle? What tastes like an apple but is green in color? It's a green apple. Nothing less, nothing more. How many letters are there in the vowels? There are 9 letters. Count yourself. The vowels. Mary went to a massage spa to have let's assume it's a massage. Great choice. She was having such a great time that she dozed off. When it was time to pay, the woman found out that her money was missing. There were 3 people who could have taken the money. The first employee said she had been having her lunch at the back of the salon. The second employee claimed she had gone to the back of the storage to get some oil. And another customer explained that she had been waiting for her turn to get a massage. Who is lying? The second employee. Why would she need to go to the storage if she has a few bottles of oils right there? Which banana, in your opinion, is the best and ready to be eaten? You should pick banana number 4. It's ripe and yellow, and there are no brown spots on it yet. Uncle Jack had a huge problem. His farm had experienced a terrible downpour, and now all but 15 pigs were missing and couldn't be found. How many pigs were still in the barn? $15. Hannah told her mom that her gymnastics team would be going to a sports camp for the weekend. Her mother thought it was a lie, and Hannah would spend the weekend with her boyfriend instead. And still, she helped her daughter pack her bag and didn't say a word. When Hannah came back from her weekend away, she complained to her mom that she had forgotten to pack a toothbrush. That's when her mother made sure Hannah was lying. But how did she understand it? The woman put a toothbrush inside Hannah's rolled-up sports clothes. If the girl had indeed gone camping, she would have unpacked these clothes and found the toothbrush. Can you figure out what is dark but made by light? It's a shadow, a dark area that only appears when there's a source of light. Buckets, barrels, baskets, cans. What can you fill with empty hands? Well, if your hands are empty, you can only fill gloves. Look at these women. Who is the baby's mother? It's the woman on the right. Have you noticed diapers lying in the corner? Now pay attention to these people and to what they're doing. Can you figure out which one of them is left-handed? It's the waitress. She serves with her left hand. That's why she needs to hold the tray with her right hand. Oliver was on his way to another city. It was late evening, and at some point, the man felt tired and sleepy. He immediately stopped at the nearest hotel and went inside. While the receptionist was looking for an available room, Oliver saw a breakfast flyer with delicious-looking fried eggs on it. Excuse me, could I probably have 4 fried eggs right now? The receptionist wasn't sure about that. Our cook brought 8 eggs in the morning. He broke 3 and fried 3. Were there enough eggs left for Oliver? The cook broke 3 eggs and cooked them. It leaves us with 5 extra eggs, which should be more than enough for Oliver. Some people hate it and some love it. It changes people's thoughts and appearances. If a person takes care of themselves, it goes higher. Some people manage to hide it. Others try but fail. But whatever people do, it never goes down. What is it? It's their age. When Matt was 8 years old, he hammered a nail into his favorite tree in the garden to mark his height. Then his family moved away, and he couldn't check how fast he was growing anymore. 10 years later, at the age of 18, Matt decided to come back to find the tree. If the tree grows 2 inches a year, how much higher is the nail now? The nail's going to be at the same height. Trees grow at their tops, not bottoms. Why are pianos so hard to open? The keys are inside. Mike was on his way to visit his grandma, who lived on the other side of the valley. It was her anniversary, so he wanted to give her the cakes he had made. Between Mike's house and her house, the guy had to cross 5 bridges, and as it was in the land of make-believe, there was a troll under every bridge. Each troll insisted that Mike pay a troll toll. Before the guy could cross the bridge, he had to give them half of the cakes he was carrying. But since they were kind trolls, each of them gave Mike back an entire cake. How many cakes did Mike have to take with him to make sure that he arrived at his grandma's house with exactly 2 cakes? Mike needs to take 2 cakes. At each bridge, he's required to give half of his cakes, and he receives 1 back, which leaves him with 2 cakes after every bridge. Mr. Brown opened a newspaper in the morning and saw a headline, "Workers want to make less money." He was confused until he read the article. What was going on? The workers who wanted to make less money worked at the mint and were tired of being overworked. They wanted to work less, which would mean making less money since money is made at a mint. A frog is at the bottom of a well. To get out of it, it needs to climb 30 feet. Each morning, the frog jumps 3 feet up the path, but each night, as it sleeps, it slips 2 feet back down. Thus, at the beginning of the first day, the frog has 30 feet to go. At the beginning of the second day, it has 29 feet to go, and so on. How many days will it take the frog to get out of the well? It'll take 28 days for the frog to get out. In other words, it will get out on the morning of the 28th day. This is because at the beginning of this day, the frog has 3 feet left to travel. And since the frog jumps 3 feet forward each morning, it will jump out of the well on this day. Read it?